Great.
All right. Hi, Krissy. Welcome to the Dion Vincent Show. I'm
Thank you.
really
Hello.
excited to have you here. There is so much to talk about. You're such an amazing uh, healer that I had to get you on the show.
Thank you. I have fun doing what I do, so I'm excited to be on your show and talk about it. Thank you.
Great, great, great. Okay, well, Krissy, for our listeners who aren't familiar with you, can you give us a little background on yourself and how you got involved with the body code?
Sure.
Good
So,
things.
absolutely. I started to get into the idea of working with energy about 5 years ago. Prior to that, if you even mentioned the word energy to me, I probably would have told you to get out of my space because it freaks me out. But ironically, I'm really good at playing with energy. So I started to train in different modalities, including access consciousness with the bars, which I highly recommend people go try if they want to have an energetic uh, transformation. I also use the body code that you're talking about, which is also a way, it's a navigation system to change and bring things back into balance where we have imbalances in our bodies or our mind, spirit, our emotions. And so I learned, because I had so many things that I felt were like quote unquote wrong with me, I was on this quest to figure out how to fix me. But what I learned was the less I believed there was something wrong with me, the more healthy I became. So it was kind of like learning how to get out of a pattern of beliefs and considerations about myself and about life. And so learning the body code and the emotion code, which are created by Dr. Bradley Nelson, that was a doorway in for me to start working with energy in a way that I could create changes for not only myself first, but then others, and changing how things show up in my life, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Life is very different for me now than it was. So I'll start with that. What else would you like to know?
Oh, that's interesting. Tell me a little bit. What do you think about your philosophy behind the blockages you referred to that energy healing seems to open?
Yes. So when we have our natural inherent state is a flow, like an energy flow. And when we start to have a belief or a trapped emotion, it's like solidifying energy into a solid pocket of energy, like a blockage of energy. And once you have these things in place, they block the flow of energy. And so it can affect any different parts of your body. It can target an organ, a gland, it could target your skeletal systems, any of the different systems of your body. So we find through what we call kinesiology and muscle testing, we are able to tune into the person that we work on and get the information. It's kind of like your body is a biofeedback machine. So if I
Okay.
connect into somebody and I ask them a question and I say, hey, is there an imbalance that's creating this problem or issue that you're experiencing right now? Your subconscious is that part of you that knows everything you've ever experienced. It knows everything that has ever happened for you, what you've tasted, smelled, thought, where you've been, what you've done. And that's not just in, like the last 5 years. That's like through your whole lifetime, like for as long as you've existed.
Oh, so
And
you can
so,
tap into the subconscious mind too?
yes,
Oh,
absolutely.
that's powerful.
That's how we get all of the answers. I don't have the answers for you. You have the answers and you're sharing them with me. I just happen to know how to ask the questions and receive the responses, yes or no responses from you. And you know how you go, you know, if you've ever heard of, and maybe you haven't had to go do this, but if you've heard of the lie detector test, and they tune you
I do
into
those all the time. I do those all the time.
me too, right? Yep, been there, done that. So, and they ask you, so hey, did you do the crime? And you're like, no, except that the, you know, the chart thing is going off the, you know, it's going whoop, 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 like lie, 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 right? Well, the
Right.
biofeedback that you're receiving from that machine is actually giving you the yes or the no responses. Well, basically, what we do when we tap into the subconscious and ask these questions is we're getting the truth. We're getting what's true. And we also can find out, are you believing some lies? Have you held on to things that aren't true for you? Have you held on to things that aren't contributing to you? Are you holding on to things that are creating all of this dis-ease and dysfunction and distress? And what are those things? And we can locate them, and then we can start to dissolve them and disintegrate them and release them so that you're free from them.
Okay. Well, let me ask you, have you found people to believe things that they didn't know they believed or they thought they didn't believe?
Absolutely. A lot, actually. And sometimes we forget that we took on like a point of view. You know, when we're little, we go through life and we don't really discern whether something's in fact true or not. So we take in a lot of sort of implanted perspectives and points of view when we're small. We also decide how to deal with life based on our young, small perspectives. And then we hold on to these. So they're things that we've either learned or they're things that we've decided when we were, you know, 5 or 10 or 15, 25, doesn't even matter what age, but like something that we've decided or concluded once upon a time. And then we kind of forget about it. It's behind the scenes kind of talking to you, you know, like a monkey on your shoulder, like talking to you and informing you, only it's more like it's misinforming you. So what is it that's misinforming you and creating the life that you don't want right now? And that's what we go and we find.
Oh, that is such a great analogy. Your monkey on your shoulder that's just telling you things that could obviously be untrue. But from a limited perception, when you were a child, that's where the monkey started talking to you.
Yeah, they're like invisible influences, you know? So what are you under the influence of right now? And it might be, who are you under the influence of right now? It could be somebody else's stuff, or it could be yours, but outdated, ineffective perspectives. I like that, ineffective perspectives.
Okay, I see now. I see now. So there's a definite correlation between your subconscious beliefs and your life experience.
Yes, yes. Well, if you had a perspective, like, here's like a silly one, but you learned when you were small that life is hard and whatever can go wrong will go wrong. Like maybe you learned Murphy's Law when you were a kid, and everywhere you went, the people in your family were like looking for, waiting for, and expecting anything that could go wrong to go wrong. So now this is a pattern of how you've learned how life shows up. And now you have these expectations for yourself. And now you have this unspoken expectation about what life is going to be like that you don't even think about it, but it's there. It's kind of like programming. And so we've been programmed to believe certain things. We've been programmed and trained with other people's way of being from the time we were young, or even lifetimes worth of it. And we don't realize that that's behind the scenes creating, or I just want to keep saying, informing our choices. The sad part is that it's misinforming our choices. It's limiting our choices, and our choices become very finite. And what we want to do is we want to get back to that place where anywhere that we've taken ourselves out of choice, or we've learned that there's only like 2 choices and they both suck, we want to get out of all of that so that we have new possibilities, new choices, and we're willing to allow ourselves to have a different reality. And when I say reality, I just mean like we can live where we function from ease and peace and inner, you know, like that inner peace and a sense of calmness or joy, feeling and experiencing love and creating relationships the way that we want to, or being open to receiving all of the abundance that is there, because there's an infinite amount of abundance just waiting to knock on your door for you to receive, but we block our receiving even, you know? So
Oh,
this is all,
yes.
this is about finding out how you're like rejecting receiving too. So how much are you rejecting receiving? And we find out that so that you can retune, recalibrate, and reconnect with the abundance that is there.
Yes, yes. You know, it's been my experience that a lot of people do reject receiving. Can you
Yes.
talk a little bit more about how you would help somebody to stop rejecting receiving?
Yes. When we have sort of a closed conclusion, point of view, when we've kind of got a solid reality, it's like judgment in general
Mm-hmm.
blocks receiving. If you think about, you've decided what you can receive and what you can't receive. You've already got some conclusions about what's possible for yourself. And once
Okay.
you start to define what is possible for yourself, you
Uh-huh.
rule out everything else. And
Oh, that's kind of like what you're talking about, the choosing the lesser of two evils.
yeah, yeah. I have these two choices. Those are the only things I can receive. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Whoa. You know, there's like so much more. But you have it's like your receptor sites. You have only a couple of your receptor sites opened, you know, and so we want to open up all these
Right.
receptor sites. Yeah.
And you find that changing people's energy or unblocking people's energy allows them to have different choices in their experience of life?
Well, for example, yes. For example, I'm trying to come up with a good example. If you have like when you have to reject certain things or certain people,
Uh-huh.
and the rejection of like, say you don't like people who have black hair. I'm just making up a stupid example, but now
Okay. You don't have
anytime
black hair, don't
anybody, I love black hair. Blonde hair, it doesn't matter, right? I'm blonde.
you? You know, I have
So
blonde hair too, so
yeah. What do you use for your hair products?
I love that. Well, one half of my head is blonde, the other half is black.
Is it striped? I haven't seen your hair.
Yes.
Oh, that's so funny. But if you're like, no, I don't like people who have, you know, X, Y, and Z, right? So you're like, I don't like anybody who is, you know, and you can fill in the blanks of whatever it is. Right now,
Uh-huh.
anytime somebody has that energy with them, anytime anybody is like that, you sort of look away and you don't allow yourself to receive from them. You have like a barrier up.
Yes,
So
you're right.
the barrier, yeah.
Yeah, it's like when you have I think you're talking about like when you have a vibe, and the vibe could be that something, like you said, the person with black hair, you can't receive them because they're giving you a negative vibe. But the actual vibe could be just coming from your own energy or your own programming that literally has nothing to do with their vibe.
And what if they actually had a winning lottery ticket in their hand and they were about to hand it to you and you're like, get away from me. I don't want to
Yes,
talk to you.
yes. You're so right. Because, you know, we do have these vibes, but I find that a lot of times our vibes are egocentric. In other words, they're focused on us, but they have nothing to do with the person or the place or the thing a lot of the times.
Yeah, absolutely. If we didn't have to judge anything, we would be able to receive from everything. You know, being in judgment of things, like in either direction though. So if you make something right, now that's the
Uh-huh.
only place that you're going to go to get from that thing. Or if you
Right.
make something wrong, you won't allow yourself to receive from that thing. So we want to be open to receiving from all things and not have a bond with something in particular. Our energy connecting to the things, our energy goes into creating all of these bonds for or against something. And that keeps us bonded to the thing. And now we aren't open to receiving. I feel like I'm talking cat in the hat here. It's like kind of random, but.
No, I think you're doing great. I really like this conversation. It seems that you're answering my initial question in a different way. Is that what blocks us, or how do we use energy to unblock our receiving? Because people are so adverse to receiving that they block their own receiving.
Yes,
and I think
they
you're
do.
explaining how people do that.
Another thing that people refuse a lot is that they actually have more power than they want to believe, or that they want to know. And when I say power, I don't mean power over anybody or power over, so it's not about that. It's energy, because every single thing is energy. And when we have owned our position as the author, director, conductor, the one who can direct the energies in our space. And how do we do that? We do that with our intention. We allow ourselves to receive more. We choose which energies we want to play with, which ones we want to be, which ones we want to radiate out from us to the world. And if we're radiating these, and if we're choosing to connect to these negative thoughts, feelings, emotions, statements, choosing to connect to these lower vibrational frequencies, we are connected to them. We're also radiating them from us. So people are receiving our vibe, like you said earlier. Our vibe starts to push people away. So we have the ability to change the vibe that we vibe with, and that we invite either to people to become attracted to us, or we can repel them from us. And we actually have the ability to direct that as well. We have that power.
Oh, I see. And I really think that it's a good way of explaining that how some things seem to happen to some people like bad, and some things good seem to always happen to other people.
This is true. Very true. And it's up to us to allow ourselves to be open to receiving. We can, that's what I do when I work with people. It's like, where are these things you don't even really realize that you're connected into? Which frequencies are with you that you're not really aware of, but they're contributing to you? The only problem is the way that they're contributing to you is not constructive. It's actually affecting you in an ill way. It's creating illness. It's creating disease and discomfort. So you can choose new frequencies and tune into that infinite divine source of power of the universe, the quantum field, the infinite possibilities, consciousness, the higher vibrations, joy, love, abundance, peace, oneness, kindness, gratitude, wholeness, all of that stuff, right? Those are higher vibrational frequencies that we could start to tune into and to become and to project from us like a beacon. We can start to project those frequencies, and like the whole universe wants to come play with you. It's like, hey, can we come play with you?
So if we project those things, that's actually what's going to attract those things. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, exactly. The laws of attraction. You got it.
Oh, that's really brilliant. There's so many aspects of life that I think our subconscious programming or our energy is manifesting, and what you help do is uncover this energy and change it.
Yeah. Well, here's an example. Imagine this is one of my examples for myself. When I was little, one of the things, the energies that I perceived that I didn't really understand at the time was, I'm not going to use that example. Let me pick a different one. So,
yeah, I love that example. Let's use that one.
I picked it. Okay. Well, there was an energy present in my household growing up that I didn't really understand because I was little. It might, it's like there were members in my family that were extremely frustrated and angry, like all the time. And I was well aware of that vibe. The vibe was
children can pick up vibes.
Totally. And what I also learned without realizing it was how to handle that from another member of the family, which was, there's nothing I can do. I'm powerless over this. I'm helpless, hopeless, powerless, and weak. And so like, it wasn't like somebody taught me these things. I just learned these energies, and I learned patterns of ways to handle things. So when somebody showed up in my space growing up with that same type of energy that is similar to anger, frustration, you know, that intensity of, and that vibration, I had like an automatic response to it of, I got to get away from it. I have to run away from this. I have to go hide. I'm going to go make myself invisible. There's nothing I can do, so I better get away from it. And now it's like, if I didn't know that, I would still go through life running away from anybody that has an energy that's vibing similar to that intense amount of frustration and things like that. So now I'm afraid of it. I'm powerless. And if I was coming to me for a session, I would be learning about that vibe. I would be learning that I had a trapped emotion of hopelessness, of helplessness. I have a trapped belief about that there's nothing I can do. I would be finding out all of the limitations that were in my field that I was connected to that were keeping me from being able to stay fully present in my power, in my potency, and not have to disappear in the face of somebody else's energetic presence, right? So there's nothing I need to be afraid of. I just need to know that those energies are present, and I can stay right here fully empowered without needing to hide or run away or fight it. I don't have to fight it. I don't have to do anything with it. I can just be aware of it without needing to do anything with it. That's a powerful place to be.
Yes, very powerful. And you don't have to let it affect you.
That, exactly. I'm not at the effect of it because I don't have to do anything with it. I can just perceive it. And like the next level up is, how can it contribute to me? Like if I didn't have to fight it, reject it, kill it, defend against it, and I could receive from it, what could it contribute to me? Huge, like huge.
I like that. That's powerful. I think what you're saying is you can use everything for your good.
You got it. Yep.
Oh, I like
if
that.
If you stay in the question, how can this contribute to me? What could this contribute to me? If I didn't have to run away from it, what could I use this for? How could this, it sounds kind of like a selfish thing, but how can this benefit me? But I don't mean it that way. Like, I just mean, what could this contribute to me? And what could I receive from this if I wasn't rejecting it?
Yeah, I don't think that's selfish. I just think that's self-care.
Yes.
Oh, I like this. I like this. Okay, this is very interesting. So let me ask you, what is something you wish you had known when you started your journey on this emotional code, body code experience?
Well, you mean like when I was little? What did I wish I knew then that I know now?
No,
like that
no.
sort of thing?
When you started getting into body code, emotional code, you've been doing it a while now. What is something you wish you had known when you first started that you know
well,
now?
I wish I knew how powerful I could be.
Oh, yes.
I mean, holy cow, this is like opened up a whole new world for me. And by the way, we all have these abilities and capacities. So one of the greatest gifts I have is that I get to invite others to the same thing. You know, like we have so much more abilities and talents and capacities to change, manipulate, create with energies. And it's such a huge gift that I didn't know I had. It's like having this really cool toy and not knowing how to use it. And we all have this really cool, you know, toy, and we need to learn how to use it. And I wish I had known more then about what was possible with all of this, because the things that I'm seeing change, not only for myself and relationships and life, but being able to see other people have the same miraculous changes. It's like, holy cow, why didn't I know this before?
I love that answer. Let me ask you, I know you can't get specific or anything, but what's some of the changes you've seen in some of your clients?
Oh man, there's so many. I would say some of the most fun ones. And by the way, you can go to my website, addictedtomiracles.com, and check out the testimonials on that, because there's just so many.
I'm going to leave a link to that in the description.
We'll put the addictedtomiracles.com in there. And don't let me forget, but I have a couple specials for you guys who are listening.
I wasn't going to let you forget.
But as far as cool stuff that people have experienced, I have one gentleman who joined me in one of my Facebook Live videos. I do these Facebook Live videos and free webinars where I'll just take volunteers and do little sample mini sessions, like 15-minute mini sessions.
Is this in a group?
Yeah, I have I have
this
a
link
Facebook
the group in the description too, okay?
Okay, sure, yes. Well, that's Addicted to Miracles on Facebook. So if you go to Facebook, Addicted to Miracles is the group. Everything's Addicted to Miracles for me, so it's easy. Just
I love that.
Look up Addicted to Miracles. You'll find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm just about to start my own YouTube channel, so everything's kind of just getting going, but I have lots of places that I'm playing. So I did this mini session for a guy, and he actually allowed me to use his full name and a picture on my website. But we changed several frequencies for him through something called balance by numbers. And the numbers that came up for him were about lungs and supporting the muscles of his lungs and helping with his lung capacities and the bronchioles of his lungs. And and I can find out when an imbalance occurred. So now this is the information that I received that he needed to change. But I can also find out, so this became an imbalance for him when he was literally an infant. It was like he was just born. He said, oh, that's really interesting. He said, when I was born, I had a punctured lung. He was in the NICU, like in the neonatal intensive care, for extra time because of the punctured lung. So when we balanced out energetically what had been created as a result of that experience, he woke up the next day and his breathing changed like overnight. He wrote all about it on there. You can check it out, but he's a runner. He said his breathing capacity has increased. It felt like this thing that he'd been like carrying his whole life, just kind of hard to catch his breath, was gone the next day. And he waited to tell me for about 3 weeks just to make sure that it lasted. He's like, yeah, I wanted to see if it was going to last, but now we're talking like 6-8 months later, and it's still great. I just talked to him yesterday.
So amazing.
Yeah.
That is a great testimonial. And you pinpointed something that you couldn't have known about beforehand. No
way. No, not at all. I worked with a woman last night who her grandmother's energy showed up. And by the way, her grandmother is passed away. So it was just the spirit of her grandmother. And then I had to balance a frequency out of the number. And the frequency was associated with dementia. And the woman said, oh, my grandmother died of dementia. I'm like, oh my God. So you never know. I did another session. There's so many stories. I wish I had like 2 hours to tell you, but I did another session
amazing.
On a woman. One woman woke up the next day, and all I did was balance a couple of trapped emotions for her on another Facebook Live video. And she said the next morning I woke up and I wasn't craving a cigarette. And she, again, another one that waited a few weeks to let me know. She's like, yeah, it lasted. She's like, I stopped smoking. All of a sudden I woke up and I didn't want a cigarette. I was like, wow, that is so cool. You never know.
Yeah, because there's so many people that struggle with smoking, things like that, and you helped this lady in just 15 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, it's not always going to be like that for people, but what if it is? What if it could be?
Yes, but what if it is? I love what you said. What if it is? Okay, well, let me ask you, Krissy, what's a tool that people can start using now that would kind of help them in area of their life that they may have an issue with? One of your favorite little tools.
First, I would just say own your power and acknowledge that you do have the power to change things. Know how powerful your intention is, and when you ask, if you ask and be open to receiving, what you need to know will show up. It's kind of like the universal law: ask and you shall receive. I started with the emotion code, and like, I'll do a big plug for Dr. Bradley Nelson, but if you go online for the emotion code, they have a free starter kit that you can literally go in and you can learn all about it. But it's a great way to learn how energy works and how we can trap emotions and how imbalances can occur. I'm trying to think of another tool. My favorite thing to teach people is we're more aware than you know. And if you could start to acknowledge how aware you are, you might not believe that you're all, effed up. You might start to think that, you're not crazy, you're aware. That's my favorite thing to tell people. You're not crazy, you're aware.
Yeah, because there's a lot of information that comes to us and we're not sure where it's coming from or even if it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. We are more aware than we want to acknowledge.
Totally.
Yes.
Totally
So,
aware.
okay. Well, how can we contact you, Krissy? Where's your website? And I know you said everything is Addicted to Miracles.
Yeah, everything. I'm just
addicted
to miracles all over the place. Yeah, so the website is addictedtomiracles.com. And if you want to check out, I have an event page where you can see my upcoming events. I do some webinars. Right now, I'm doing some free webinars. I just posted one today that's going to happen on Saturday next week. I think that's the 18th. So you can come check out my work and watch it, see it, you can hear it and see what it's all about. I also have a special that I've been doing for the whole month of January, where if you want to try it, you can go to the product page and just purchase a 20-minute session with me for $20.20 because it's the year 2020 and I just thought I'd play it. But 2020 vision, right? So you get clear vision about what's going on with you. And that's like half the price of my hourly rate. So I'm just kind of giving you an opportunity to not have to buy a whole session to give it a try. So have a 20-minute quickie, give it a try. Yeah. And if you really like it, you can I'm offering a discounted coupon. It's like a promotion code, I guess you would call it. And there's a promotion code that you can apply for $20 off of a private session with me. And you can do a 1-hour session. You can buy a package of 3, or you can buy a package of 5, and the prices kind of go, you save more. Yeah. So there's all sorts of choices for you.
Make sure we'll put all the links down there in the bottom. It was great talking to you, Krissy. Now I have one last question for you. Can you give us some ending wisdom, some parting wisdom, some pearls of wisdom to end the webcast with?
Be you, the you came here to be, not the you learned to be.
Ooh, that is so powerful.
And see what happens. Change the world with that, like go around dropping love bombs all over the place, It's like,
I love love bombs.
I know, right?
I'm about to drop one today. I'm going to drop a love bomb. I'm dropping a love bomb your way because you're such an awesome guest, Krissy.
I dropped a bomb on you and ran.
All right. All right, everybody, feel free to check out Krissy's website. Is addictedtomiracles.com. Book a session with her, and I'm quite sure you'll become addicted to miracles too.
Thank you so
Dion Vincent of Dion Vincent Show. Krissy, I want to thank you so much for being my guest today.
Thank you, Dion. It was a pleasure. Thank you very much.
All right. Bye. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.